Hi. So I did a collective reading, and the theme of it was communication. And I know I've had lots of channeling from spirit about communication. And one of the things that I've channeled is the whole bit about how we are becoming so divided as a species, really. And it struck me the other day. I was going through Facebook, and I'm guilty of this. Okay, I have been guilty of this, of where there's an argument going on about something or other, and there's a pile on, and it becomes like a feeding frenzy. But somebody has triggered it because they have said something provocative, and they've said something deliberately provocative because they're an influencer or a thought leader. Okay, none of which I aspire to be. I'll be honest with you right now. I don't want arguments in my thread, and in the chat and everything. I don't want people arguing, because it's absolutely not what I'm about. I want people to come together. I want people to recognise community and connection, and how we are all connected to each other and connected to nature and connected to everything. But there is this drive at the moment to disconnect us. And part of that is for some people, being provocative in that way is a job. They're monetized, so the more comments they get, the more reactions they get, the more, whether that's a like or an angry face on Facebook or whatever. So it's comments, likes and shares, which add up into monetization when you're monetized, as well as then obviously followers. And if someone likes the cut of your jib, they'll follow you. If they don't, obviously they won't, but they may well still respond. And so in responding, they are actually providing people with money. Okay. Now, nothing can be more stark as an example of this as the Tate brothers, those vile individuals, Andrew Tate and his brother, I can't remember his name, who are in prison, a federal prison in Miami at the moment, and the British government is working on extraditing them to Britain for very serious allegations against them. And as we know, they are misogynists, but they also promote this, oh, look at me, I'm so rich, okay? I am this rich person, I've got these Bugattis and blah, 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 I don't know, okay? But these fancy cars, and I've got this $50 million yacht, I've got this private plane and everything, and it's all a lie. Their lawyers have actually said the cars were rented for a photo shoot. The yacht they were paid to be on to promote. And I suspect the plane was probably rented or part of some ridiculous photo shoot. But what's despicable is that they sell courses to impressionable men on how to be rich like them. They're not, okay? These people are not in the way they present themselves anyway. Not to the extent, they probably say they're billionaires or something. And they're not even remotely that wealthy. But they are, unfortunately, influencers and thought leaders, and they are using their position in order to monetize, whether they monetize on social media or whether they monetize through selling these nonsensical courses. And you see a lot of people selling courses about how to get rich doing nothing, and oh, look at me with my Dolce & Gabbana clothes and handbag and everything. This is the lifestyle you must aspire to. And I can give it to you through my courses, and you just, after a while you just think, really? But what these things do is they do divide us, okay? Because in order to monetize, people become more and more provocative in what they say, and that causes division. And people go, you've got one person going, oh yeah, you're great, another person going, you're an absolute fraud, charlatan, blah, blah, blah. And then there's a scrap between all of them. And that's without getting into the really big ticket items, okay, of Israel, Palestine, transgender, all of that. Without even going anywhere near that, there is enough going on in the world where people can have a good old fight on social media, okay, and get really angry and really annoyed. And they're deliberately being wound up in that way. Because the other thing that's then happening is that there are these bots, okay, and they are bots. You just have to look at their profile, okay, and they will say something in the comments that's really outrageous, and then all hell breaks loose. Who the bots actually work for is, I don't know, whether they work for the influencer or whether some of them are probably state sponsored to make sure that division gets really, really, really settled in. And they will, and they do, unfortunately, put in the comments some really outrageous things, and they say some really nasty things, and get everyone really riled up. And this isn't what communication is supposed to be about. Not really. As I say, I have no aspirations to be an influencer or a thought leader, but Spirit is really clear that there are messages they want me to get out, and one of those messages is don't engage. Okay, if you do engage, I've stopped. I look at stuff now and I think, okay, I don't engage, because hopefully it will then rewire the algorithm for me. But whereas I was engaging because I'm really passionate about things I believe in, really passionate about certain subjects, I decided, actually, do you know what? I can be all of those things and I can have my opinions and everything, but I don't have to go around getting worked up and stressed and having an argument with people I don't know on social media when I'm being deliberately whipped up to do this so someone can make money. All right. And it never occurred to me until I just got this channeled message that I did put into the comments about the person who I had put something particularly provocative on Facebook, I think it was. And I said, you are doing this in order to monetize yourself, and you have no regard for what you're doing to society as a consequence. And if I do comment now, that's pretty much what I'm going to say. But Spirit just wants that if you don't engage, if you don't get involved in the argument, then all of the methods being used, being used to divide us will start to fail. And we can come together as a collective, and as a collective we're far more powerful. And that's what Spirit wants to see, rather than this horrible division, this nastiness, this hatred that's in the world that is totally unnecessary. And we are all being whipped up into it so people can make money. Okay? Let's not give them that, because it's not helping us. Okay? It's not helping us at all. So that's a message from Spirit for you. I hope you found it interesting. I'm going to write a blog probably and go in more detail into it. But yeah, I will speak to you soon. Take care, my lovelies. Bye-bye.